The text message glared at me from my phone screen, its innocuous words masking a truth that would shatter my world. We need to talk. It's about Jake. My fingers hovered over the keypad, hesitating. Lydia never texted like this, always preferring to call with her usual exuberance. Something was wrong. I glanced at the clock on my office wall, 3:45 p.m. Jake would be home in a few hours, probably bringing takeout from that new Thai place we'd been meaning to try. I pushed away the nagging feeling in my gut and focused on the spreadsheet before me. Emily? My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Your 4 o'clock is here. Thanks, Sarah. I'll be right out. I smoothed my blouse and took a deep breath. Whatever Lydia wanted could wait. I had a company to run. The meeting dragged on, my mind drifting to Lydia's cryptic message. As soon as I ushered my client out, I grabbed my phone and dialed Lydia's number. Thank God you called. Lydia's voice was tight with tension. Are you sitting down? Lydia, what's going on? You're scaring me. I saw Jake today, at Rosario's. My heart skipped a beat. Okay, he probably had a lunch meeting or something. He wasn't alone, Em. Lydia's words came out in a rush. He was with a woman, and they looked close. The world tilted on its axis. What do you mean, close? I took a picture, I'm sending it now. My phone buzzed, and I opened the image with trembling fingers. There was Jake, his head bent close to a striking redhead. Their hands were intertwined on the table, and the intimacy of their posture was unmistakable. Emily, are you there? I couldn't breathe. I have to go. Wait, Em. I ended the call, my mind reeling. This couldn't be happening. Jake and I had been together for 10 years, married for 5. We had a life, plans, dreams. He wouldn't throw that away, would he? The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. I canceled my remaining meetings and left the office early, driving aimlessly through the city. As the sun began to set, I found myself parked outside Rosario's, the upscale Italian restaurant where Lydia had spotted Jake. And there he was, emerging from the restaurant with the redhead from the photo. They were laughing, his hand resting on the small of her back. I watched, frozen, as he leaned in to kiss her cheek before they parted ways. Before I knew what I was doing, I was out of the car and striding towards him. Jake! He spun around, his face draining of color. Emily, what are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing. My voice was eerily calm. Who was that woman? Jake's eyes darted around, looking for an escape. Just a colleague. We had a work dinner. Don't lie to me. I held up my phone, Lydia's damning photo on display. Explain this. He stared at the image, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Emily, I can explain. Save it. I turned on my heel, my heart pounding in my chest. I'll see you at home. We have a lot to talk about. As I walked away, I heard him calling my name, but I didn't look back. My mind was already racing, piecing together 1,000 little moments that suddenly made sense. The late nights at the office, the secretive phone calls, the distance that had been growing between us. I got back in my car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. One thought echoed in my mind. How could he do this to me? Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a storm that would upend every aspect of my life. I couldn't sleep that night. Jake didn't come home, and my mind raced with 1,000 scenarios, each worse than the last. By morning, I was a wreck of emotions, anger, hurt, and a burning desire for answers. I called in sick to work, something I'd never done before. Then I dialed Lydia. Em, how are you holding up? Her voice was thick with concern. I'm going to confront him, I said, surprised by the steel in my own voice. Today. Do you want me to come with you? I hesitated. No, I need to do this alone. But can you be on standby? Of course. I'm here for you, no matter what. After hanging up, I checked my phone. No messages from Jake. Coward. I showered, dressed in my power suit, the one I wore for big presentations, and headed out. I knew exactly where to find him. Rosario's was bustling with the lunch crowd when I arrived. I scanned the room, my heart pounding. And there they were, tucked away in a corner booth. Jake and the redhead. Rachel, I'd learned from a quick social media search. I approached their table, my heels clicking on the polished floor. Jake looked up, his face draining of color. Emily, what are you? Hello, Jake. I cut him off, my voice steady. I turned to Rachel. And you must be Rachel. I'm Emily, Jake's wife. Rachel's eyes widened in shock. Wife? Jake, you said you were divorced. I laughed bitterly. Well, that's news to me. Jake stood up, panic written all over his face. Emily, please, let's not do this here. Why not? I asked, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Isn't this where you like to conduct your affairs? Rachel grabbed her purse and bolted, leaving Jake to face me alone. He reached for my arm, but I jerked away. Don't touch me, I hissed. How long, Jake? How long have you been lying to me? He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I once found endearing. Emily, I'm sorry. It just happened. Things don't just happen, Jake. You made choices, over and over again. A waiter approached, looking uncomfortable. Is everything all right here? I smiled tightly. Everything's fine. We were just leaving. Outside, Jake tried to explain, his words tumbling out in a desperate rush. It didn't mean anything, Em. Rachel's just a fling. You're the one I love. I held up a hand, silencing him. Save it. I don't want to hear your excuses right now. I need time to think. What does that mean? Jake's voice cracked. Are you leaving me? The vulnerability in his eyes almost made me waver. Almost. I don't know, Jake, but right now I can't even look at you. I turned to leave, but his next words stopped me cold. It's not just Rachel. I spun around. What? Jake's shoulders slumped in defeat. There's someone else. Violet. It's been going on for a while. The world tilted on its axis. 2 affairs. My mind reeled, trying to process this new betrayal. How could you? I whispered, tears finally spilling over. Jake reached for me, but I backed away. Emily, please, we can work this out. I'll do anything. I shook my head, a strange calm settling over me. No, Jake, we can't. It's over. As I walked away, my phone buzzed. A text from Lydia. Everything okay? I typed back. No, but it will be. Can I stay with you for a while? Her response was immediate. Of course, I'll have wine and ice cream ready. I smiled through my tears, grateful for true friendship in the midst of betrayal. As I drove to Lydia's, I realized this was just the beginning. The life I thought I had was gone, but maybe, just maybe, I could build something better from the ashes. Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. Jake's deceptions ran deeper than I could have imagined, and the path to justice would be far from smooth. I'd been staying at Lydia's for 3 days when Jake finally worked up the courage to face me. His incessant calls and messages had gone unanswered. But now he was here, standing on Lydia's porch with a bouquet of roses and puppy dog eyes. Emily, please, can we talk? I crossed my arms, blocking the doorway. I think you've said enough, Jake. He ran a hand through his hair, looking desperate. I know I messed up, but I love you. We can fix this. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Fix this? You had 2 affairs, Jake. 2. How exactly do you propose we fix that? I'll do anything, he pleaded. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. I was about to slam the door in his face when Lydia appeared behind me. Let him in, Em. Maybe it's time you 2 hash this out. Reluctantly, I stepped aside. Jake followed us into Lydia's living room, his eyes darting nervously between us. I'll give you some privacy, Lydia said, squeezing my shoulder before retreating to the kitchen. Jake sat on the edge of the sofa, looking like a schoolboy called to the principal's office. Emily, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Over and over again, with Rachel, with Violet. How many others were there, Jake? He flinched. No one else, I swear. It was just, I don't know. I got caught up in the excitement, the thrill of something new. And our marriage wasn't exciting enough for you? It's not that, he protested. You're amazing, Em. Successful, beautiful, everything a man could want. I got scared. I raised an eyebrow. Scared of what? Of not being enough for you, he admitted. You're this brilliant tech executive, and I'm just me. A middling salesman with no real prospects. I guess I wanted to prove I could still attract other women. His words hit me like a slap. All this time I thought we were happy, equals. But Jake had been harboring these insecurities, letting them fester until they poisoned our marriage. That's no excuse, I said, my anger rising. If you felt that way, you should have talked to me. We could have worked through it together. Instead, you chose to betray me in the worst possible way. Jake nodded, tears welling in his eyes. I know, I'm an idiot, but please, Emily, give me another chance. I'll do anything to make this right. For a moment, I wavered. The man before me looked so broken, so contrite, but then I remembered the image of him with Rachel, with Violet. The lies, the deceit, the shattered trust. No, I said firmly. I'm sorry, Jake, but it's too late. I want a divorce. The color drained from his face. Emily, no, please don't do this. We can work it out, I promise. I shook my head. There's nothing to work out. You made your choices, Jake. Now I'm making mine. He stood up, desperation etched on his face. You can't just throw away 10 years of marriage. I'm not the one who threw it away, I shot back. You did that when you decided to cheat. Twice. Jake's demeanor suddenly changed, his pleading giving way to anger. Fine. If that's how you want it, we'll do this the hard way. You think you can just walk away? I'll fight you every step of the way. You'll get nothing in the divorce. I promise you that. I stared at him, shocked by this sudden transformation. This wasn't the Jake I knew, or thought I knew. Get out, I said quietly. As Jake stormed out, slamming the door behind him, Lydia emerged from the kitchen. Oh, honey, she said, pulling me into a hug. Are you okay? I pulled back, a strange calm settling over me. No, I admitted. But I will be. This isn't over, Lydia. Jake thinks he can bully me into submission, but he has no idea who he's dealing with. As I spoke the words, I felt a newfound determination rising within me. Jake had underestimated me for the last time. Now it was my turn to show him just how formidable I could be. The next morning, I woke up with a newfound determination. I'd spent enough time wallowing. Now it was time for action. I called my office, informing them I'd be working remotely for a while. Then I started researching divorce lawyers. Lydia brought me coffee as I pored over legal websites. How are you holding up, Em? I sighed, rubbing my temples. I'm okay, just trying to figure out my next move. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I answered hesitantly. Emily, it's Claudia. I froze. Claudia was an older woman in our social circle, someone I'd always respected for her wisdom and poise, but her tone now was sharp, accusatory. I heard about what happened with Jake, she said. Don't you think you're overreacting? My jaw dropped. Excuse me? Men stray sometimes, dear. It doesn't mean you throw away a marriage. I felt my blood boiling. Claudia, he had 2 affairs, that I know of, she skid. All the more reason to fight for your marriage. You're not getting any younger, Emily. Do you really want to start over at your age? Her words stung more than I cared to admit. I appreciate your concern, Claudia, but you don't know the whole story. Then enlighten me, she challenged. Let's meet for lunch. The Rosebud Cafe, noon today. Before I could respond, she hung up. I stared at my phone, bewildered. Lydia, who had overheard, looked concerned. Are you really going to meet her? I nodded slowly. I think I have to. I need to understand why she's taking Jake's side. At noon, I found myself sitting across from Claudia at the Rosebud Cafe. She looked immaculate as always, her silver hair perfectly coiffed. Emily, dear, you look dreadful, she said by way of greeting. I bit back a retort. It's been a difficult week, Claudia. She waved a hand dismissively. All the more reason to reconcile with Jake. He's a good man, Emily. Everyone makes mistakes. Multiple affairs aren't mistakes, I countered. They're choices. Claudia's eyes narrowed. And what about your choices? Have you been the perfect wife? Always available? Always supportive? I felt a surge of anger. Are you seriously blaming me for Jake's infidelity? I'm saying marriages take work, she replied coolly, from both sides. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. Claudia, why are you really here? Why do you care so much about my marriage? She hesitated, something flickering in her eyes. I just hate to see a good couple torn apart by a simple indiscretion. 2 affairs aren't simple indiscretions, I said firmly. And how do you know so much about this anyway? Did Jake talk to you? Claudia's composure slipped for a moment. I may have heard things in our social circle. Suddenly, a horrible suspicion dawned on me. Claudia, I said slowly, did you know about Jake's affairs before now? Her silence was all the answer I needed. I felt sick to my stomach. How long? I whispered. Claudia looked away. Emily, you have to understand. How long? I repeated, my voice like steel. She sighed. I've known about Rachel for about 6 months, and Violet, well, that's been going on for over a year. The world tilted on its axis. Claudia, someone I had trusted and respected, had known about Jake's betrayals all along, and she'd said nothing. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. I think we're done here. Emily, wait. But I was already walking away, my mind reeling. As I stepped out into the sunlight, I realized the depth of Jake's deception went far beyond what I'd imagined. It wasn't just our marriage he'd corrupted. He'd poisoned our entire social circle. In that moment, I made a decision. This wasn't just about divorce anymore. It was about justice, about exposing the lies and betrayals that had been festering beneath the surface of my seemingly perfect life. As I hailed a cab, I felt a grim smile spread across my face. Jake and his enablers had no idea what was coming, but they were about to find out. I stormed into Lydia's apartment, my hands shaking with rage. You won't believe what just happened, I spat out, recounting my lunch with Claudia. Lydia's eyes widened in disbelief. She knew? All this time? I nodded, pacing the room. And there's more. Claudia mentioned someone named Violet. Another affair, Lydia. How many women has Jake been with? Lydia's face paled. Oh, Em, I'm so sorry. I collapsed onto the couch, my anger giving way to exhaustion. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare. How could I have been so blind? Lydia sat beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. This isn't your fault, Emily. Jake is the one who betrayed you. I wiped away a stray tear. I know, but now I don't know who to trust. If Claudia knew, who else did? As if on cue, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jake. We need to talk. I'm coming over. I showed Lydia the message, my stomach churning. I can't face him right now. You don't have to, Lydia assured me. I'll tell him to leave. But before she could move, there was a knock at the door. Jake's voice called out, Emily, I know you're in there. I took a deep breath, steeling myself. No, I'll handle this. I opened the door to find Jake looking disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. Emily, please, just hear me out. Why should I asked coldly, so you can lie to me some more. He flinched. I deserve that, but I want to explain everything. About Rachel, about Violet. Save it, I cut him off. I already know about Violet, Claudia told me. Jake's face drained of color. Claudia? But how? Because she knew, Jake, I said, my voice rising. She knew about both of them, for months. Who else knew? Who else have you been lying to? He reached for me, but I stepped back. Emily, please, it's not what you think. Then what is it? I demanded. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been cheating on me with multiple women, and our entire social circle has been covering for you. Jake's shoulders slumped. I messed up, Em, I know that, but I will fix this. We can fix it bitterly. I laughed bitterly. Jake, you've destroyed everything we had. Every memory, every moment we shared, it's all tainted now. So that's it? He asked, his voice breaking. You're just going to throw away 10 years of marriage? I felt a surge of anger. I'm not the one who threw it away. You did that when you decided to cheat, repeatedly. Jake's demeanor suddenly changed, his pleading giving way to anger. Fine. If that's how you want it, we'll do this the hard way. You think you can just walk away? I'll fight you every step of the way. You'll get nothing in the divorce, I promise you that. I stared at him, shocked by this sudden transformation. This wasn't the Jake I knew, or thought I knew. Get out, I said quietly. As Jake stormed out, slamming the door behind him, Lydia emerged from the kitchen. Oh, honey, she said, pulling me into a hug. Are you okay? I pulled back, a strange calm settling over me. No, I admitted, but I will be. I walked to the window, watching Jake's car speed away. In that moment, I made a decision. This wasn't just about divorce anymore. It was about exposing the truth, about reclaiming my dignity in my life. I turned to Lydia, a determined glint in my eye. I need your help. We're going to uncover every lie, every betrayal, and then we're going to make sure everyone knows exactly who Jake really is. Lydia nodded, a fierce loyalty in her expression. I'm with you, Em. Whatever you need. As we began to plan our next move, I felt a mix of emotions, anger, hurt, but also a growing sense of empowerment. Jake and his enablers had underestimated me for the last time. Now it was my turn to show them just how formidable I could be. Little did I know, the path ahead would be far more treacherous than I could have imagined, but I was ready for the fight of my life. The next morning, I woke up with a plan forming in my mind. Claudia's revelation about Violet had been the final straw. It was time to confront Jake and uncover the full extent of his deception. I called Lydia and Claudia, asking them to meet me at the coffee shop near Jake's office. To my surprise, Claudia agreed, sounding remorseful and eager to make amends. As we gathered at the cafe, I laid out my strategy. Jake told me he's staying at the Westview Hotel because of my overreaction, I explained, my voice dripping with sarcasm. We're going to surprise him there. Lydia nodded, her eyes blazing with determination. Let's nail that cheating bastard. Claudia, looking pale and nervous, chimed in. Emily, are you sure about this? It could get ugly. I fixed her with a steely gaze. It's already ugly, Claudia. Now it's time for the truth. We took a cab to the Westview, my heart pounding with each passing minute. As we approached Jake's room, I heard muffled voices from inside. My hand trembled as I raised it to knock. The door swung open, revealing Jake in a bathrobe, his hair disheveled, his eyes widened in shock. Emily, what are you? I pushed past him into the room, Lydia and Claudia close behind, and there sitting on the rumpled bed was a woman I didn't recognize. Violet, I presumed. Well, I said, my voice eerily calm. Isn't this cozy? Jake's face drained of color. Emily, I can explain. Save it, I snapped. I'm done with your explanations and your lies. Violet stood up, wrapping a sheet around herself. Jake, who are these people? I laughed bitterly. I'm his wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, I should say. Jake's eyes darted between us, panic setting in. Violet, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. Oh, spare us, Lydia interjected. You didn't mean for any of it to happen, did you? Not Rachel, not Violet, not any of the other women you've been with. Jake's head snapped up. Other women? What are you talking about? Claudia stepped forward, her voice shaking. Jake, it's time to come clean. About everything. As Jake sputtered and tried to defend himself, the full extent of his betrayals came to light. It wasn't just Rachel and Violet. There had been others, colleagues, friends, even our neighbor's college-age daughter. Each revelation felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Violet, looking as shell-shocked as I felt, gathered her things and fled the room. I couldn't blame her. She was as much a victim of Jake's lies as I was. How could you? I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. Was anything in our marriage real? Jake reached for me, his eyes pleading. Emily, please. I love you. We can work through this. I recoiled from his touch. Love? You don't even know the meaning of the word. Just then, the door burst open again. To my utter shock, Jake's parents, Arthur and Debbie, stormed in. What in God's name is going on here? Arthur bellowed. Debbie's eyes widened as she took in the scene. Jake, honey, what have you done? As Jake tried to explain to his parents, I felt the room closing in on me. The voices around me became a cacophony of accusations, excuses, and recriminations. It was all too much. Enough, I shouted, silencing the room. I can't do this anymore. I turned to Jake, my voice breaking. We're done. For good. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce. As I walked out of that hotel room, leaving behind the shattered remains of my marriage and the life I thought I knew, I felt a strange mix of despair and liberation. The worst had happened, my deepest fears realized, but I had survived. Little did I know, the true test of my strength was yet to come. The battle for justice and retribution was only just beginning. I stood in the hallway of the Westview Hotel, my heart pounding in my ears. The confrontation with Jake had left me reeling, but I knew it wasn't over. As if on cue, the elevator dinged, and out stepped Rachel, Jake's first mistress. Emily? She gasped, her eyes darting between me and the open door of Jake's room. What's going on? Before I could respond, Jake appeared in the doorway, his face ashen. Rachel, what are you doing here? The hallway erupted into chaos. Rachel, realizing she wasn't Jake's only affair, began shouting accusations. Jake's parents, still inside the room, emerged to witness the spectacle. Lydia and Claudia stood by my side, offering silent support. Enough, I shouted, silencing everyone. We're taking this inside, now. As we filed back into the hotel room, the tension was palpable. Jake stood in the center, surrounded by the wreckage of his lies. His parents, Arthur and Debbie, looked shell-shocked. Rachel glared daggers at both Jake and Violet, who was still trying to make herself invisible in the corner. Jake? Arthur's voice was low and dangerous. Explain yourself, now. Jake's eyes darted around the room like a cornered animal. I don't know what to say. I messed up. I'm sorry. Sorry? I laughed bitterly. You're sorry? You've been cheating on me for years, Jake, with multiple women, and you're sorry? Debbie turned to me, her face a mask of confusion and hurt. Emily, dear, surely there's been some misunderstanding. Jake wouldn't. Oh, but he would, Claudia interrupted, and he did. I've known about Violet for months. The room exploded again. Arthur rounded on Claudia, demanding to know why she hadn't said anything. Rachel and Violet began arguing over who Jake had been with first. And through it all, Jake stood silent, his world crumbling around him. I felt a strange calm settle over me. I want a divorce, I said, my voice cutting through the noise, and I want everyone to know exactly what kind of man you are, Jake. Jake's head snapped up. You wouldn't dare. Watch me, I replied, pulling out my phone. I'm going to call every friend, every colleague, every client you've ever had. I'm going to tell them all about your affairs, your lies, your betrayals. Emily, please, Jake begged. You'll ruin me. You ruined yourself, I shot back, and you ruined us. As I dialed the first number, Jake lunged for my phone. In the scuffle, it slipped from my grasp, clattering to the floor. The screen lit up with an incoming call, from a number I didn't recognize. I answered it on speakerphone. Hello? Is this Emily? A woman's voice asked. I'm Sarah. I think we need to talk about Jake. The room fell silent as Sarah's story unfolded. She wasn't just another mistress. She was pregnant with Jake's child. I felt the floor drop out from under me. This was it, the final betrayal, the one that shattered any lingering doubt or hope. I looked at Jake, seeing him clearly for the first time. He wasn't the man I loved, the man I married. He was a stranger, a liar, a cheat. Get out, I whispered, my voice trembling. All of you, get out. As the room emptied, leaving me alone with Lydia, I felt something break inside me. The tears I'd been holding back for days finally came, a torrent of grief and rage and betrayal. Lydia held me as I sobbed, whispering words of comfort. But beneath the pain, I felt something else stirring. A fierce determination. Jake had taken so much from me, but he wouldn't take my dignity, my strength, or my future. As I wiped away my tears, I knew this wasn't the end. It was a new beginning. One where I would reclaim my life, my happiness, and my power. Jake's reign of deception was over. Now it was my turn to rise from the ashes of his betrayal. 6 months after that fateful day at the Westview Hotel, I stood in the courtroom, my heart pounding as the judge delivered her verdict. Jake sat across from me, a shadow of the man I once loved, his face haggard and defeated. In the matter of Emily versus Jake, this court grants the petition for divorce, the judge announced. Furthermore, given the evidence of Mr. Jake's infidelity and financial misconduct, the court orders substantial alimony payments to Mrs. Emily. I exhaled slowly, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. It was over. I was free. As we left the courtroom, Jake approached me, his eyes pleading. "Emily, please, can we talk?" I held up a hand, stopping him. "We have nothing left to say to each other, Jake. It's done." Lydia appeared at my side, linking her arm with mine. "Come on, Em, let's get out of here." As we walked away, I heard Jake call out, "I'm sorry, Emily, for everything." I didn't look back. Outside, Claudia was waiting, looking nervous and ashamed. "Emily, I don't know how to make this right." I faced her, my voice steady. "You can start by keeping your promise? The check for the women's shelter?" Claudia nodded, handing me an envelope. "It's all there, and I've arranged for monthly donations, as we discussed." I took the envelope, a small satisfaction blooming in my chest. It wasn't just about the money, it was about accountability, about making amends. "Thank you, Claudia. I hope this helps you sleep better at night." As Claudia walked away, Lydia squeezed my arm. "You did it, Em. You won." I smiled, feeling a mix of emotions wash over me. Did I? Sometimes it doesn't feel like winning. "Hey," Lydia said softly, "you survived. You're stronger now. That's a win in my book." We made our way to my new apartment, a fresh start, away from the memories of my life with Jake. As I unlocked the door, I felt a sense of pride and independence wash over me. Inside, I was greeted by the sight of moving boxes and new furniture. It wasn't much, but it was mine. All mine. Lydia helped me unpack the last few boxes, chatting about her latest date and the office gossip I'd missed. As we worked, I found myself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months. Later that evening, as Lydia prepared to leave, she paused at the door. "Em, I'm so proud of you. You know that, right?" I hugged her tightly. "I couldn't have done it without you, Lyd. Thank you." After she left, I stood in the center of my new living room, taking it all in. The divorce was final. Jake was out of my life. I had a new home, a thriving career, and true friends who stood by me through it all. I walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. 6 months ago, I thought my world had ended. I thought Jake's betrayal had broken me beyond repair. But standing here now, I realized something profound. I wasn't broken. I was reborn. The pain was still there, a dull ache in my chest. But alongside it was something else. Hope. Hope for the future, for new beginnings, for a life lived on my own terms. I thought about all the women out there, facing their own battles, their own betrayals. I thought about Sarah, carrying Jake's child, and the other women he had hurt. And I made a silent vow to use my experience, my strength, to help others rise from the ashes of betrayal. As I got ready for bed that night, I caught my reflection in the mirror. The woman staring back at me was different from the one I'd been 6 months ago. She was stronger, wiser, more resilient. She was a survivor. I smiled at my reflection, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. The journey had been painful, the battles hard fought. But I had emerged victorious, not just over Jake's betrayal, but over my own fears and insecurities. Tomorrow was a new day, the first day of the rest of my life. And I was ready for whatever it might bring. As I drifted off to sleep, one thought echoed in my mind. The best revenge isn't just surviving, it's thriving. And that's exactly what I intended to do.